Previously on my Dirtbag Diaries, I had hoped that once I returned to the West and had a moment to evaluate and organize my life, I would find a very important misplaced document, my driver's license. Unfortunately, this turned out to not
Don't
be
know
the
where it
case, so
went.
naturally I did what every other law-abiding citizen does. I set out on a 2,000-mile road trip to the Department of Motor Vehicles. Full-time nomads exist on the periphery of mandatory systems. We must have identification, but attaining identification requires a physical address, which, in principle, is in contrast with being a full-time nomad. How can one operate legally within a government system that seems hell-bent on creating a closed loop dependent on a sticks and bricks domicile, and thus the overbearing expenditure that comes with it? In this video, I'm going to highlight a process I undertook a couple of years ago that exists as a loophole in the system. It allows me to stand independent as a nomad, to have residency in a state where I do not reside, with some notable limitations.
I don't know if you can tell, but I'm getting absorbed into a cloud here at this camp. I just actually packed everything up and put it in the roof box. I came down from the roof box and thought I had died and gone to heaven because everything was all cloudy all of a sudden. Like, what's happening? Anyway, no, we're not filming another video here at this camp. It is time to move along, although I was very tempted to stay for the next several days through the weekend. I've ultimately had enough caffeine where I've decided that it's just time to go get things done. So we are headed to South Dakota. But real quick, I do have a question for you. Now that my style has changed a little bit, I've slowed down. I'm filming multiple videos at a single camp. I just kind of want to know like how y'all feel about that. Does that seem boring to you? Is it still interesting to watch? Just curious about how that's landing with you. So drop me a comment, let me know how you feel about that. I'm open to hearing either way. I just want to know your honest opinion.
After 8 months living in my car, drifting, and sometimes pushing, I hit a wall, burnout, and now I'm choosing to pivot. I'm entering my dirtbag era. I'm still in my car, yes, but I'm leaving the endless miles behind, trading highway lines for trail markers, seeking out wild spaces, not just to pass through, but to train, heal, and belong. This is about slowing down, living intentionally, letting nature shape my body, spirit, and days. If that speaks to you, I hope you'll come along.
Hello? Am I dead? Oh, so pretty. Okay, bye-bye camp. I love you.
This first place that we are driving to today is my home address. Yep, this is my legal registered home address, 514 America's Way in Box Elder, South Dakota. I'm putting it out there on the internet because it's not a security risk. I have spent a cumulative total of 45 minutes at this address in my entire life. You will not find me or any of my personal possessions here. It is by design an address where people do not reside.
All right, I'm leaving my home sweet home. I'm gonna tell you what's up, how all of this works, in case you are a nomad and you're interested in becoming a resident without actually living in a specific state. But actually first, it's already 3:30 and I need to try to go to the DMV today. So I'm gonna go to the DMV first, then we'll talk later because I don't want them to close on me. I'm the last person for the day. I'm so grateful I got here in time. Once again, legal to be driving. I didn't expect that I have to get a new picture today, but oh well. I am so incredibly lucky. I was the last customer the DMV helped today. After I checked in, they cut off walk-in appointments, or wait, walk-ins, and you can't make an appointment right now until like sometime in July. So I would have had to go back tomorrow. Okay, anyway, I got my license. I'm so excited. I wanted to walk through with you a little bit about the process of becoming a resident in the state of South Dakota. It's a process that I actually went through about 1.5 years ago when I changed my residency. There's a couple of different reasons why I changed my residency to South Dakota. There's only a few states that will really allow you to do it without having a proper physical residence. South Dakota is one of them. The taxes are favorable in South Dakota, and I am a full-time nomad. So even when I've lived in temporary housing for seasonal work, I still have been there temporarily. It has not been a permanent residence that I've lived at for more than 5 years. So it made sense to me to go ahead and switch over my residency. And the way I did it is, the first thing I did is I visited South Dakota. I went and checked in at America's Mailbox, which is the service that I personally use. It does cost about $200 a year. Initial setup is roughly, I think, $300 because you do need to have a shipping credit. So in addition to it serving as my physical residence mail address, it is also a mail forwarding service. So I have what's called a PMB, or a personal mailbox number there, which when I write down my address for something, it serves as kind of the same as like an apartment number. I use the street address of the business, and then my PMB is assigned to me. So I can have things mailed there, and then every now and then I can contact them and have them forward my mail somewhere else. And that's why I have like a credit amount that I've put down a deposit on for payment, so that they can just charge against that when they ship things to me. I honestly don't do that very often. I think I've only done it once, and that's just because I really don't have things sent there. In this day and age, it's really not that necessary to have physical mail sent out. So that was my very first step in this entire process, which I did about 1.5 years ago. That is also the very first step of what I did today. And the reason for that is I needed to go get a proof of address, essentially. So I got my address here printed out. It's basically a receipt for the service. For all intents and purposes, with the DMV, replace any mail that one typically needs to bring in to show proof of residency. So typically, if I had a physical residence here, I would bring in mail. I'd bring in like a gas bill or light bill or something like that. And I would need 2 pieces of mail to come in and present to them. But in lieu of that, I have this receipt through America's Mailbox. But there's a little bit more to it too. When I came 1.5 years ago, I needed to stay the night, and I needed to provide that in form of a receipt to the DMV using my PMB address. So I stayed at an Airbnb, but you could stay at a campground where you like formally register, or you could stay at a hotel. And it's really important that when you register, you use your PMB address, your physical address, on your registration information, and that's going to get printed out in a receipt documenting a one-night stay, and that needs to be presented to the DMV in order for them to issue you a driver's license. Because I have a valid and existing driver's license, I just lost the physical card. I went in, I brought my receipt, and I signed an affidavit. So it's kind of like a 24-hour process, I guess, but like super easy. They're used to it, obviously, at America's Mailbox. That is like their business model. Also, they have a campground there, so if you're interested in staying in the campground. I do have a few more things in terms of all of this shenanigans that I want to take care of tomorrow. So I'm going to leave it here for now. I'm going to be staying overnight here in town, and then tomorrow is another business day, and I'm going to try to get a few more things sorted out, taken care of, and just kind of handle some of the admin of my nomadic life, which can tend to feel pretty chaotic sometimes. Good morning from the Planet Fitness parking lot in Rapid City, South Dakota, where I stayed the night last night. This is probably only my second time stealth camping in a month. Waking up, gonna head into the gym, get my workout on, get a shower, and then probably hit up a coffee shop to do a couple of hours of editing before I go and take care of the next couple of life admin things I need to do as a nomad. So I'll see you in a little bit. I just put in the address to drive to the county treasurer's office to do my vehicle registration, and they're not open on Fridays. So today's Friday, which means I can't go until Monday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I have 3 days. So I headed over to Spearfish, South Dakota this afternoon to get my tires rotated at the Les Schwab, since there's one in Spearfish. There's not one in Rapid City. And that's where I bought my tires, so I can get a free rotation. So I just handled that. And they also inspected my brakes while I was in there, and as I expected, my rear brakes are due for service. So I've known that that's coming. I've been saving money for it, and since I do have to just hang out in this general area until Monday, I figured I might as well make it a point to just go ahead and get it taken care of tomorrow. So I'm gonna go back in first thing tomorrow morning. They open at 8 a.m. and get my rear brakes serviced. And for now, I'm just looking for a camp for tonight. The Spearfish is basically in the Black Hills. If you don't know where I'm talking about, maybe you've heard of Sturgis in South Dakota or Deadwood. Those are all kind of in this vicinity. We're not too far from Mount Rushmore even. But this is a really beautiful area. And just outside of town is the Black Hills National Forest. There's not a lot listed on the Dirt or iOverlander, which are two of the apps that I use to find dispersed camping. So I'm just kind of driving right now. I think this is actually technically a scenic byway, and it sure is pretty. On this stunning little picnic area. Unfortunately, I don't think you can stay here overnight. There's no signage or anything, but it's a picnic area. It's not a camp area, you know? So I don't know that I want to risk it. Not seeing a ton of options or any real options. There hasn't been any like Forest Service roads where I can really pull off. However, there have been pull-off opportunities near the river, I assume for fishing access. This is the Spearfish River, and I guess it has some pretty great trout fishing. However, those have been just paved pull-offs on the side of the road where there's no physical barrier between road traffic and vehicles parked. And while I don't have a whole ton of rules about where I pull off to sleep, my big rule is I do not like to park up for the night at a place where a vehicle traveling on the road could travel outside of bounds and hit me. Especially, you know, at night, maybe somebody's been drinking, maybe they see my vehicle and just drift towards it and hit me while I'm laying there sleeping. Motor vehicle incidents are the most dangerous thing that I encounter out here realistically. It's the highest probability of having some sort of misfortune. So yeah, that kind of freaks me out. I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to keep looking. I don't actually have any service at all right now. So I'm just going to keep looking. I mean, it would be really nice if I could just stay at this picnic area. I don't know. I don't know if you can read it, but it says Dances with Wolves film site. I don't really know what they're referring to. I've seen that movie, but not for a long time. But I should watch it again. Does this look familiar to anyone? It's pretty. Woo! I ended up driving pretty far on this forest road to find a perfect camp spot. But I did. It's so beautiful, actually. And, you know, losing my driver's license, which is essentially why I'm here in South Dakota to get the replacement, which I did yesterday, was maybe a blessing in disguise. You know, I think that a lot of times there are hiccups that happen that are actually meant to facilitate something better. I think coming here and getting a lot of the little loose ends squared away is actually such a good thing for my overall stress level and energy, which I'm working on improving right now. As I've talked about, a lot of the reason why I came back out west and diverted from my trip to Maine was so that I could take care of my physical health. And a lot of that has to do with stress levels. Like, I definitely felt like my stress level every day was super high. And some of that had to do, a lot of that had to do with the rapidity of movement, lack of sufficient sleep or quality sleep, nutrition, which are things that have improved since being out here, but also the accumulation of little projects and stressors. When I was in Utah at my dad's place, I was able to take care a lot of like little projects that I had sort of been procrastinating, but also generally just didn't have the energy to do when I was back east with my travel style there. Oh my gosh, the sun is killing us. We have to move. Okay. That's better. But you know, it's just like all of the little life things, all of the little admin things that we all have to deal with, whether you're living in a sticks and bricks or out on the road. Doing it out on the road is different. There are extra hoops that we have to jump through, maybe extra like little payments that we have to make, things like that. But it is possible. People do it and I'm doing it. And making these changes that I'm doing now doesn't really have anything to do with me moving into my car in September. It's a process that really started as I became a nomad over 5 years ago now. And I've just kind of evolved through that process and procrastinated a lot of things because I'm so bored with administrative things. And can easily find a bunch of other things I would rather be doing, which obviously is not responsible, but it's just what's been happening. So now that I was kind of had the reason to be here in person, it's a great opportunity for me to take care of these things. And while I'm at it, I'm taking care of some things with the car too, regardless of whether or not I needed to come to South Dakota. That was all in the plan. So yeah, I'm gonna get the rear brakes done tomorrow, and then I have a short list of some other things that will be coming up in the future, including shocks and struts, which is going to be another expensive thing. But you know, this is just all part of it. It's all part of life, whether or not you live on the road. If I owned a home, I would still have to do vehicle maintenance, and home maintenance, which is also an endless list. I know that. So can't complain. Just have to plan for it.
I mentioned earlier some notable limitations of my PMB address, and a big one is that most financial institutions, banks, credit unions, and other credit servicers do not accept a PMB as an adequate primary address. The same is the case for most car insurance companies. Being that these are services that nomads still need access to, having a relationship with a reliable friend or family member that will allow the use of their physical address is still needed to make this lifestyle work.
Good morning. I'm outside the Pennington County Administrative Office, where I've just gone and checked in for a title transfer to get my vehicle registered in the state of South Dakota. And there's a 3-hour wait. So I added my name to the queue, and they're gonna text me 30 minutes before my appointment time, I guess, or my turn. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go get my oil changed. Then I'll probably go to a coffee shop, do some work. Wow, come speeding into a parking lot. Well done. Subaru driver. A lot of Subarus around here, actually. And then hopefully we'll get it all taken care of, you know? And it'll just be done. And I'll just be able to renew. That's the life plan. Life strategy right now. Get it all squared away.